Today we're doing a $100 tournament at the Horseshoe Indianapolis Casino. It's a 15,000 chip starting stack with 20-minute blinds. And we run pretty deep in this tournament, so it's a pretty long video with a lot of hands involved. So we're just going to jump to level 3 and skip the first 2 levels. There wasn't much action. We were just kind of getting blinded out and lost a few small pots. But we are starting level 3 with about a 7,000 chip stack. And we wake up with pocket queens. And under the gun and the button both limps, I raise it to 2,300 in the small blind. Big blind folds and under the gun shoves all in. That's exactly what I'm looking for, being half stack right here. So I make the call, the button folds, and the total pot is over 15,000. And you guys can see what happened here. I call. Take it out. Finally get one. Our next playable hand, we wake up with Ace 7 offsuit. It's folded to me in the cutoff, and I raise it up to 2,000 with the blinds being 300, 600, 600. And the button's gonna call me. It's heads up to a flop that brings us top pair, top kicker. So I check it to be a little deceiving and see what the opponent does, and he ends up betting 3,000. Now with top pair, top kicker, I think I'm pretty good here, and there's a lot of straight draws and flush draws here, so I decide to shove it all in for 8,000, and the villain ends up calling with 2 overcards. That's pretty good for us. The pot's just over 21,000, and you'll see how it plays out. I'm all in. Oh, that shows ace jack. Yeah, ace and the 7, I got it. Our next playable hand, we wake up with Ace 10 offsuit. It's folded to me in the hijack, and I raise it up to 2,000. Cutoff and button make the call, and we're 3 ways to a flop. That doesn't bring us anything worth betting here, so I check it, and it's checked all the way around, which is a good sign. The 8 of club comes out, and I think I'm just going to try to steal this with their passiveness, so this time I'm going to lead with 3,000. The cutoff calls, and we're heads up to a river. And again, it doesn't bring us much, but I know this opponent has been overfolding on the river, and I'm just purely playing exploitive poker at this point, and that's why I lead with $5,000 to try and steal it. And just as I expected, my opponent folds, and we take down an easy pot, stealing it. Our next playable hand, we get dealt 9-7 of hearts in the big blind. +1 makes it 2,800 to go, and it's folded around to me, and I decide to defend this time and make the call. The flop gives us second pair, and my opponent shoves all in for 6,400. And I'm trying to get a read on him here, and the way he's acting just seems as if he missed his board and he might be bluffing with air. His body language doesn't really seem as if he's got something good in his hand, so I make the call, and he flips over pocket aces. Ouch. I was way off on my read, and that's very unfortunate. Now we gotta get lucky in this almost $20,000 pot. Oh, what the suck out. Did that move? Honestly, I thought you were bluffing. Get this suck out. It's break time. We got 10,000, 41, 42, 43,100. We got 43,000. Next blinds are going to be 600, 1,200. So that's going to put us at roughly 35, 36 big blinds. So not too bad. 49 players remaining. 71 entries, so we're not doing too bad. The average stack is 21,000, so we got more than double
the average stack, or almost double the average chip stack, so not too bad.
Next up, we're dealt ace 10 suited. Low jack decides to pump it up to 2600 and I call in the button. Big blind also calls, and we're 3 ways to a flop that gives us top pair with a mediocre kicker. Low jack raises to 3500. I call and big blind folds. We're heads up to a turn that brings a 6 of club. It goes check check around. I don't want to be too aggressive here, considering he did bet pretty aggressively pre-flop, and I think he could have a strong ace here, so I'm going to play this pretty passively and check it back. Then the 7 of spade comes out, bringing out a straight for me, and my opponent decides to shove all in. Of course, I got a call here with a straight, and my opponent shows 10 jack for a better straight. Honestly, I just played this hand terribly. I should have raised him on the flop and bet the turn. I was worried he had a better ace than me instead of putting him on a range of hands. So I made a terrible mistake and paid deeply for it. I just didn't put him on a straight with a 10 in my hand, so I had to make the call with the second nuts, and it just is what it is. Good hand. Our next playable hand, we get dealt the pocket 9s in the big blind. Hijack decides to limp, and cutoff makes an aggressive 4200 raise. I'm going to call in the big blind, and hijack folds, so we're heads up to a flop that brings out some low cards. And this board is super wet. There's some straights out there, some straight flush draws, and I'd hate to see it get any worse. I do have an overpair here, so I decide to overbet and shove all in for some protection. And we get some good news with our opponent folding, and we take down a pretty good sized pot. Alright, we got a table change here, and the blinds have jumped up to 1,000, 2,000, 2,000. Low jack is going to raise it up to 4,500 after it's folded to him. Cutoff makes the call, and with all the money in the pot, I'm going to call and try to set mine with my pocket 4s in the small blind position. We're going 3 ways to a flop that brings us bottom set. I check to set the trap, and low jack shoves all in, covering me. Let's go. Cutoff folds, and of course I make the snap call.
On the shows, jack 10. Thank you. Get a full house. We got 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 9,500. So we got 79,500 in chips. The average chips is almost 49,000. Blinds will be 3,000, 3,000, 22 players left. So we're not too bad in shape. We got more than an average chip stack. Blinds are 3,000, so we got 26 blinds left. 22 players remaining. Not too bad. Let's see how we do.
Blinds went up again. We're 7-handed, and I get dealt queen jack in the low jack position. I put an aggressive raise to 10,000 after it's folded to me. Button shoves all in for 20k in total, and I'm already committed, so I make the call.
Yep. Give me a queen. I'm gonna show us the ace jack off. Ooh, and let's go. Thank you. Let me take it down.
They're bringing in new. They're bringing in
107,000. Blinds are up 2,000, 4,000 with a 4,000 ante.
Our next playable hand, we wake up with the Cowboys. It's folded around to the small blind, who decides to just limp in. And I check it down to deceive my opponent. Now, I typically like to raise it with pocket kings, but I want to be sneaky here because it was folded around and he did just kind of limp in. So with that being said, I decide to play it passively here and try to trap my opponent. The flop comes out pretty good for us. It brings out a flush draw and a small straight draw, but not really worried about that right here. So the opponent's going to lead out with a 4,000 bet, and I decide to slow play it again and make a smooth call. The pot's now 20,000 and the turn brings out a 10 of spade. Nothing really to scare us here, and my opponent checks it to me this time, and since he's playing passively, I decide to check it back. Then the river comes out a 10 of hearts. Again, not worried about this card here either, so when my opponent bleeds with 6,000, I just decide to make it a 3-bet to 18,000, targeting any weaker pairs like a queen or, some kind of small pocket pair or a 2 or a 3. And then he decides to call without much thought. We show him the Cowboys and he instantly mucks his hand. And we take another pot down.
567 107.5.
We are finally at the final table with only 10 players remaining and the top 9 players getting paid. We get dealt pocket 9s and raise it to 15,000 in under the gun position, with the blinds being 3,000, 6,000, 6,000. Low Jack's going to shove it all in for 42,000. Now there's 72,500 in the pot with the blinds and my original bet. So it's only 27,500 for me to make the call and to try to win 100,000 pot. So I really can't fold this hand, even though I don't like his shove. He only has 7 big blinds stack in total, so he should be shoving fairly wide in this situation, and I gotta try to take him out here. So I make the call and he shows us the devastating pocket jacks.
Is that 42.5 total? 15.30. Nice hand. I already had 15 committed.
Now the blinds go up to 4,000, 8,000, 8,000, and we're only sitting on less than 65k in chips, giving us about 8 big blinds. So we're not looking too good here. We got to make something happen, and it's good timing because we look down an ace queen suited on the button. Low Jack pumps it up to 25,000 after it's folded to him, which is about a fourth of my stack. I don't think calling is a good ideal here, so he's in late position, so he could be doing this with any wide range. With that being said, I gotta shove it all in with only 8 big blinds. It's folded to the original raiser, who makes the call, and here's the run out.
160 million.
That's a call.
Low Jack calls or heads.
2 hands, guys.
Oh, that's brutal. Ace queens. Oh, that's brutal. GG's. Pretty sure you got me covered, Joe.
I think he does. 75 there.
Yeah, I think he does.
Just show some rails. Yep.
Nice hand. GG's.
Alright, there you guys have it. That's the end of the tournament. We came in 10th place. They literally paid 9 people, so we barely missed it. Although playing for first place, that couple $100 in 9th or 8th, 7th place really doesn't matter to me. So I wasn't really, worried about that. I was sitting on 9 big blinds, Low Jack, raised it up, opened up, and he should be around 20 to 25% range, opening range there. So I thought my ace queen was good, ace queen suited. Unfortunately, he was on the top end of his range with the ace king off, and we ended up getting it in and he took it down. So it is what it is, with less than 9 big blinds. I think the correct play is to shove right there, trying to get fold equity and trying to get weaker aces to call or a flip or just weaker hands in general.
but it didn't happen like that. So, you know, it is what it is. We take some, we lose some. And the one that really hurt me was the pocket 9 hands. I'm not sure if that was the correct play on me, considering, you know, I opened up to 15,000. I think it was under the gun. That's not terrible. But then he shoved 42,000, I think. So almost 3x what I had, but given the money already in the pot with the blinds, I think it was the correct play. Obviously, I was hoping for a flip or a worst pocket pair I was up against, but you know, it is what it is. So 2 big hands was all it took when the blinds are that high. There's not really much you could do, you know. It's that easy to lose it. So it was a good game. Either way, see you guys on the next one.